Much love, peace, and blessings to all the entities out there, everywhere. This edition of this series, some of the library, I'm going to show some of one of my. I like doing a lot of research into it and looking into it. Is who's been uh, individuals. How should I put this? The most famous clairvoyant of our times. Anyway, is how people have put this individual. You probably already guessed who I'm going to talk about when I say this. Now, none, not one of these books were written by this individual. All of the books from the ARE were written by others on what this individual had received in trance state. Edgar Cayce is this little section is going to be about Edgar Cayce books, and basically the first one you've already seen in another video, which actually I made a response video to my video because I was asked a question about three books, which three books. But the Edgar Cayce Companion goes in depth about it's basically a reference book. Um, Healthy thing, anything you can think about, someone had written or taken the time to go through 14,000 readings and actual or lines of readings, something along that nature there, and taking out things like parts of the readings about Atlantis. There's a section here about Atlantis, section in here about food you could eat, health, all different kinds of stuff. But it's basically a compendium, and it's companion. It's a compendium of all different types of stuff. But this is actually I use for a reference book, one of my many reference books. The next one on the list is Edgar Cayce on Revelation, study guide for spiritualizing body and mind. Um, this book was kind of curious to me because it, it takes mind, body, and spirit, and it says spiritualizing the body and mind, which is if you live with spirit such as I do, anything you do with your body, for your body, to your body, or with your mind, to your mind, or anything of that nature is done with spirit. So it basically that's what caught my attention was that title right there. And this was quite a while. I don't know how many years ago I actually bought this book and read this book, but it was it talks about dreams and visions, and it's got quotes from the Bible. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Psalms 91:1. You see, it's and it correlates it into a lot of these or some of these readings that he gave. I don't even want to say readings. Some of these messages he received or the trance state, what they took down while he was in trance state. And he had some woman, actually, one of the interesting things, the whole time he was doing this, he had the same, I'll call her secretary, but what she was a stenographer. She sat there like one of the people in the courtroom. You sit and type the whole, put things on the record. And that's what she did while he was in the trance state. And she evidently was the only one throughout all of the years that did this, from my research anyway. Anybody that, if you can show me the facts on something different, please do, because I'm always willing to learn. Constructive criticism I value greatly. Um, Another one of my favorite Edgar Cayce books is Story of the Soul. And this one right here is one of my favorites. It's not a very big one, of course, but it goes through since the beginning to where we are basically now. And it says, trace the fascinating footsteps of your evolving soul from its origins to its destination. Written by W.H. Church, which could be an acronym for something else. We never know. We may never know. But that actually is one of my favorite Edgar Cayce books right there. It talks about the Akashic records and all of this different stuff. Um, Another good one that I chose to show is the itty bitty one. It's Edgar Casey on Atlantis. And this is a pretty good one that sums up a lot of his Atlantis. I keep wanting to say readings, but that's basically that's a good one there. And it's small and cheap and a quick read. This one caught my attention because, of course, I don't know why, but movies and books and stories and prophesying, Nostradamus and all these speak about end times. This book right here has a lot of the individuals. Edgar Casey is one of them, but it's end times, prophesying of the coming changes. Nostradamus, Edgar Casey, the Bible, the Holy Mother, and there's more than that. It's not just these four, even though that's mostly what is inside it. Was a very big book. You know, it was cheap, but this guy actually wrote was John Van Auken actually did this book too. See what I mean? It's like he specializes in end times revelations type scenarios and predictions and whatnot. And this one's kind of old. I found it in a secondhand bookstore. It was $1.50, but I talked it down to a quarter. Which isn't really much. It was published in 1970, but it's Edgar Casey on the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's a picture of Edgar Casey there. Dead Sea Scrolls. I actually have delved into the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi library, so on and so forth. I find those interesting thoughts nonetheless. And the last one is it's a pretty good one. It's kind of a big read, but basically it goes into first let me show Edgar Casey and the story of Jesus, and you can all guess what symbology that is right there and what that is. Um, this basically goes into what Jesus was doing the time that he's not in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? The time that he's not talked about in King James Version of the Bible. This kind of goes into it. Um, there's a little bit of, and it ties into the Aquarian Gospels. If you've ever heard of the Aquarian Gospel or the Tablets of Emmanuel, well, not really Tablets of Emmanuel, but basically the Aquarian Gospel, if you've ever read it, is an account of Yeshua, Emmanuel, Jesus, whatever title you choose to put on, with the India. And it was an account of his travels through India and Tibet. And also, if you've ever read the Circle 7 Quran, there's a lot of correlations between those two, but similar along those lines. There's a part in here that deals with that, and also the Urantia book also speaks on this time that's not spoke about, we'll say in the King James Version of the Bible, just for lack of conversation time here. Um, that was part of my Edgar Casey collection there from my library. I thought I would share with you all, and I'll go ahead. I'm going to end this video and say much love, peace, and blessings to all the entities out there, everywhere. And I'll be seeing you again here soon.